Episode 11. While Leo worked diligently outside the police base, providing first aid to the wounded and maintaining his composure in a stressful situation, Ren ventured into the building with innate caution. Each step was measured, a reflection of the hard years he spent surviving alone with Leo before joining the Aurora. He knew that his bodily enhancements, while powerful, could only be manipulated one at a time for the moment, and up to a maximum of 4 times a day. Overextending meant the possibility of total exhaustion or even losing consciousness, a risk he learned during his training with the Lady of Fire. Walking slowly, pressed against the wall, Ren observed the interior. The walls and floors were scarred with cuts and what looked like energy strikes, some evident ice marks and others he couldn't identify, all testaments to the brutality of the raid. In the main hallway, he spotted motionless figures on the floor, the base guards. He didn't know if they were alive or dead. The only certainty was that, for now, he couldn't help them, as he didn't know if an enemy was nearby. Tension mounted with every step, and Ren pushed forward, his senses on maximum alert. Before reaching a 4-way intersection, a point where he would be exposed to any guard, Ren decided to activate his feline agility. He needed a better reaction time for any unexpected movements. He leaped with astonishing speed to cross the hallway, landing on the other side without apparent issue. However, in the base's security system, now under the control of Moon faction executives, that fleeting movement did not go unnoticed. An alert popped up on the screen, informing Seraphina of the intrusion. Calmly, she observed the blip on the map. A cold smile played on her lips. "Send 2 from your team to eliminate that minor threat," Seraphina ordered, her voice devoid of concern. To her, it was just a small pebble in her path. As Ren moved cautiously into the base and Leo attended to the wounded outside, Sofia, with her deep knowledge of the police facility, moved like a shadow. Her experience and sharp perception allowed her to anticipate security camera locations and blind spots, guiding her along a path where she couldn't be detected. In her silent advance, she spotted several Moon sentries stationed at strategic points. One by one, she neutralized them with brutal, silent efficiency. No screams, no shots. Only quick, precise movements that left the guards unconscious or incapacitated without raising any alarm. Her fire aura, normally so visible, remained contained, barely a faint glow that only she controlled. With every step, Sofia confirmed the information Ren had provided through his visions. Seraphina and her top executives were concentrated in the command center. The Lady of Fire smiled with a mixture of satisfaction and anticipation. The path to her target was becoming clear. The 2 Moon faction executives, one level B and the other level A, headed determinedly toward the minor threat Seraphina had ordered them to eliminate. However, Ren, thanks to his animal senses enhanced by feline agility, detected them before they could see him. Quickly, he looked for something to defend himself with. He grabbed a couple of detached pieces of wall and ripped out a protruding piece of pipe. Prepared for the confrontation, he waited for the attacker's first move, ready for a lightning strike. But the executives didn't appear immediately. Ren momentarily lost concentration and cautiously took a few steps to peek around the corner. In that instant, a powerful attack emerged from the darkness. Ren barely managed to dodge it at the last second, receiving only a small cut on his forehead. Startled, he watched as the 2 executives combined their attacks, one manipulating a wind aura and the other an earth-type aura. "Cutting wind," the level B executive shouted, while his level A partner conjured his technique, Rock Spear. Several rocks formed in the air, coated in wind and launched forcefully at Ren. After the first one nearly hit him, the executives felt confident their combined volley would finish him. The jagged stones, spinning at high speed and coated in aura, whistled through the air like gunfire, heading straight for Ren. With an instinctive reaction, Ren leaped and twisted his body in midair, avoiding the projectiles by a narrow margin. While evading, he tried to throw the pieces of wall in his hand, hoping to at least distract one of his attackers. The weak impact, however, only served to further infuriate the Moon executives. With his heart hammering, Ren tried to calm himself. Sofia's recent lesson resonated in his mind, the importance of aggressiveness, but also of observation. He forced himself to analyze his enemies, evaluating their movements and the flow of their aura. Gripping the piece of pipe he would use to parry attacks, he noticed a crucial detail. The charge time for the rock shots was considerably longer than a normal attack, though their power was immensely superior. This observation gave him a sliver of an advantage, a window of opportunity to plan his next move. Worry weighed on Ren. He thought, maybe Leo was right. Maybe I shouldn't have come in so recklessly. But the thought vanished as quickly as it arrived. He had decided to fight. He had decided to survive. In that moment, a weak voice interrupted him. "Hey, kid, what are you doing here?" Ren was startled. He turned and saw a base security officer clinging to life by a thread, his body bruised and bleeding from severe wounds inflicted by Seraphina's group. "Don't worry about me. You're in worse shape," Ren said. "I think that's obvious," the officer replied, coughing up blood. Seeing the determination in the young man's eyes, he warned him hoarsely. Class A and B adapters were wiped out by this group. You have to leave. You don't stand a chance. At that moment, the aura-charged rock shots whistled again, passing dangerously close to Ren and the officer. These two know how to curve their attacks. They don't just fire in a straight line. Ren exclaimed, surprised by his enemy's tactical sophistication. The situation was critical. Ren decided on a move he had only rehearsed in his mind during training, a partial activation of his abilities, concentrating feline agility solely in his legs. He knew that if he failed, he would have no strength left to continue the battle. But it was a life-or-death situation. He managed to trigger the ability, a burst of concentrated speed, and a new confidence filled his chest. He knew the next shot was charging. That was his chance. He would strike before they could fire. With his mind made up, Ren leaped toward the opposite wall, clinging for an instant before propelling himself in erratic zigzag movements. His goal was to avoid any direct hits while closing the distance at superhuman speed, pipe firmly in hand. The Moon executives, seeing him emerge from hiding, smiled with contempt. "Finally out, you rat!" one shouted. Ren built up as much speed as possible and launched a devastating blow against one of them. The impact was so strong that the shockwave cracked the floor beneath the executives. Ren bounced back from the force of the hit, his body staggering. When the smoke cleared, surprise and despair washed over Ren. The executives were without a single scratch. Without wasting an instant, his opponents completed their joint attack, launching a barrage of 3 rock and wind shots directly at him. Thanks to his feline abilities and enhanced sight, Ren managed to avoid most of them at the last minute, or so he thought. One of the shots struck his left arm, leaving it too injured to use. A muffled cry of pain escaped his lips, but he struggled not to lose sight of his enemies. They laughed, seeing they had wounded their target. "Time to end this," one said, beginning to charge the next attack. Ren, analyzing the situation despite the immense pain in his arm, realized what he lacked in the previous attack was power. They were overconfident. They believed he was helpless. "I'll use that," he thought. "But this will be my last move." He activated feline agility again, concentrating it for a final burst of speed. Simultaneously, with desperate resolve, he attempted to activate bear strength in his right arm, the only one he could still use. Memories of the training with Sofia from earlier that morning flooded Ren's mind. Specifically, the moment she asked him, "Have you ever thought about combining your abilities?" Ren, surprised, had stopped to consider the possibility. "I'll try," he had said then. He activated bear strength, feeling the rush of power that made his movements slow but tremendously strong. Then, he tried to activate feline agility only in his legs. The effort was immense. Ren felt the activations ripple through his body like waves of power, but he couldn't stabilize them. With a massive mental effort, he managed to keep the agility in his feet and the strength in his arms. But when he tried to move with both active, they abruptly deactivated. Ren had collapsed from exhaustion on the grass, the experiment a failure for the time being. Now, the situation was critical. The stakes were enormous. The slightest slip in control would drain Ren's strength entirely, but he knew it was his only shot. The tension was palpable. The Moon executives didn't waste time and fired their attack, but this time they tripled the number of shots, intending to end the battle. Ren launched himself with an explosion of speed, dodging the first shot by a hair. The second forced an even bolder maneuver, and he watched in awe as it curved to surprise him. Continuing his desperate dash, Ren prepared to deliver the final blow. He gained even more speed, propelling himself with everything he had left. The hit was true. With a brutal impact, the 2 executives were sent flying, crashing against the wall. Dazed, they wondered how that rat could have pulled it off. When the shock of the impact dissipated, Ren was seen staggering, barely standing. "That was all I had," he gasped. his eyes fixed on his opponents, exhaustion visible in every fiber of his being. The two executives slowly got up, the initial daze gradually fading. One of them began to laugh. "You did quite a lot, little rat," he said, walking toward the trembling Run. But as he did, he felt an uncontrollable urge to cough. He did, and blood sprayed from his mouth. Astonished and furious, he screamed, "That hit did more damage than I thought, damn you. I'm going to dismember you before I'm finished with you." Rage consumed him as he realized the unexpected effectiveness of Ren's attack. The executive, coughing blood and with rage distorting his face, grabbed Run by the neck. Ren struggled, trying to fight back with the last crumbs of strength he had left, his vision blurring. In the distance, the wounded guard, gathering his final strength, tried to draw attention, shouting for them to let the boy go. But the other executive didn't hesitate. He launched a wind attack in the form of blades that silenced the guard forever. In that instant, steady footsteps echoed behind the executives. A suffocating pressure, heavy with heat, loomed over them, pinning them in place. "Stop bothering my student, and I might consider letting you go," a cold but powerful voice rang out in the hallway. Shock was etched on the executives' faces as they saw who was speaking. It was none other than Sofia, the Lady of Fire. She had been watching everything. Without hesitation, she threw precise fire daggers that struck right between the executive and Ren, forcing him to let go as he recoiled from the heat. The other executive tried to attack her, but his strikes dispersed uselessly against Sofia's burning aura, which she had now fully activated. The executive's previous confidence crumbled. The Lady of Fire stood before them, and they knew the scales had tipped drastically against them. Ren, completely exhausted, stayed on his feet through pure willpower alone, his body at its limit. Sofia, without losing a second, launched a quick barrage of fire daggers to force the executives back, stepping between them and Ren. "Good instincts," Sofia told Ren, her voice holding a hint of approval, though not without her usual sarcasm. "But you lack endurance, boy." Ren tried to smile in response, but his strength failed him completely, and he collapsed to the floor, unconscious from exhaustion. "This isn't a training ground." The executives screamed at Sofia, rage and frustration evident in their voices. Despite the danger, they began to charge one of the powerful attacks they had used against Ren, hoping their brute force would be enough to at least cause some damage to the fearsome Lady of Fire. The tension between Sofia and the Moon executives was palpable. They launched their combined attack, a torrent of rocks and wind, hoping to overwhelm her. Sofia, with her vast battle experience, dodged the assault with a fluid, side-to-side movement. The executive's attempt to catch her off guard was ineffective. With her aura glowing and radiant, Sofia prepared a concentrated fireball and launched it at point-blank range. The executives were unable to react and took the full force of the blast. The explosion kicked up a thick curtain of dust. When it cleared, one executive lay knocked out. The other, using his wind aura, managed to dampen the power of the attack just enough to stay conscious, though his body was visibly trembling. "Your attack lacks a basic element in close-quarters combat. Charge speed," Sofia told him, her voice calm but authoritative. "You'd need to be able to fire it at will to stand a chance against me." The remaining executive, with adrenaline pumping through his veins, began to plan his escape. He saw no reason to stay and die at the hands of the Lady of Fire. He ignited his aura and with a shout of north wind, a column of wind rushed toward Sofia. The impact caught her by surprise, but only that. It caused no real damage. Simultaneously, the executive took off, sprinting down the hallway at full speed. Sofia flared her aura even more, forming small fire spears that she fired after him. But something unexpected happened. The explosion following the impact of Sofia's fire spears did not generate flames, but rather an intense steam. At the same time, the temperature in the area dropped sharply and rapidly. Through the freezing mist, measured footsteps could be heard. "So you finally decided to show up," Sofia said, her voice echoing with a mix of defiance and recognition. The silhouette soon emerged from the vapor, walking steadily toward the light. It was Seraphina. "Sofia." Seraphina began, her voice as icy as the element she manipulated. "Only you would show up to thwart these plans." Her frigid gaze locked onto the Lady of Fire. "We are still in your debt for that shipment. Today is the day we settle it." The Lady of Fire and the Ice Empress, as Seraphina is known in the underworld, faced each other, confident smiles on their faces. Both were Class S, a guarantee that the battle would be even, a clash of elemental titans.